I can very confidently say that whenever you think of Asia's powerhouses, Malaysia is the first country that comes to your mind, right? And I can also very confidently say that most people picture China, Japan, or even Singapore. But let me tell you, hidden behind its tropical beaches and bustling cities, Malaysia quietly controls a lot of things that the world barely notices. So by the end of this video, you'll see why underestimating Malaysia might just be the biggest mistake anyone in Asia or in the world can make. Malaysia is a country that is often overshadowed by its flashier neighbors, and it is possible that most people can't even pinpoint it on a map. But let me tell you that Malaysia is a nation that is sitting on one of the most strategic trade routes in the world, and it is quietly shaping the flow of goods, money, and influence across Asia. And yes, Malaysia is a paradox that is underestimated, overlooked, and yet incredibly powerful in ways the world rarely notices. And most of you and your countries don't even realize that Malaysia has mastered geography and is clever in economic moves. And for that reason, in this video, I'm also going to tell you how Malaysia's location gives it unmatched leverage, why its political and cultural influence in ASEAN is stronger than you think, and how its hidden economic strength is quietly making waves that could surprise even the biggest players in Asia. So stick around, because by the end you will see why the world keeps underestimating Malaysia and why that might be its biggest blind spot. Let's dive right in. First of all, we'll talk about Malaysia's strategic location and trade power. This is the state of Malacca, a narrow stretch of water barely 900 kilometers long, yet one of the busiest shipping lanes on the planet. Over 25% of the world's traded goods pass through this corridor every year, and right in the middle of it sits Malaysia, quietly holding the keys to one of the world's most important highways. It is seen that most countries in Asia chase headlines and flashy growth, but Malaysia doesn't need to. Why, you ask? Because its geography does the heavy lifting. Malaysia controls the state of Malacca, and when you control the state of Malacca, you control the heartbeat of global trade. And when you control global trade, then even the biggest powers respect you. Because Malaysia controls the massive container ships threading through its waters to the bustling ports on its western coast. History shows this wasn't by chance. For centuries, traders from China, India, and the Middle East navigated these waters, making Malaysia a crossroads of cultures, commerce, and strategy. Today, that legacy continues. Malaysia's ports handle millions of tons of cargo each year, making it a critical hub for logistics, manufacturing, and shipping. But while everyone else sees Malaysia as just another small country in Southeast Asia, the world is quietly dependent on its waterways, its ports, and its control over this global trade artery. Underestimate Malaysia and you might just underestimate the flow of wealth across an entire continent. Now, most people think that Malaysia is just surviving in a region full of economic giants and political heavyweights, but in reality, Malaysia is shaping them. Take ASEAN, for example. In this group of countries, Malaysia often plays the role of the mediator, the calm voice in the storm, quietly steering decisions that affect millions. When tensions rise between other countries in the region, Malaysia's diplomacy often turns potential conflict into negotiation. And for this act, I just love Malaysia. I mean, you won't notice anything, but in reality, it is a subtle power and incredibly effective. Politics is one thing. Malaysia's cultural influence is just as significant. With a unique blend of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and indigenous communities, Malaysia demonstrates a rare example of multi-ethnic harmony. Its culture, cuisine, and festivals ripple across the region, attracting students, tourists, and investors alike. In a way, Malaysia is exporting stability and soft power, not with armies or aggressive policies, but through identity, ideas, and influence. Even its education system draws thousands from across Asia, creating networks of loyalty and influence that quietly extend Malaysia's reach. Outsiders might call it a small country, but in the corridors of power, Malaysia's voice is often the one that turns the tide. When most people think of Malaysia, they imagine palm oil plantations, tropical beaches, or bustling night markets. But they don't look closer, and if they do, they'll see a nation quietly building an economic empire that the world consistently underestimates. Yes, Malaysia's economy isn't flashy, but it's resilient and surprisingly diverse. Beyond palm oil, it is a leader in electronics, oil and gas, and increasingly high-tech industries. This country has positioned itself as a hub for global manufacturing and innovation and is attracting investment from companies that know the secret that Malaysia delivers stability, efficiency, and strategic access to Asia's markets. So consider this, while neighbors fight for attention, Malaysia quietly maintains one of the region's most attractive environments for business. Its ports, logistics networks, and trade-friendly policies make it a magnet for global investors. And you know what is the best part? The world barely notices. Many people and countries call Malaysia's economy the halal economy, a sector Malaysia has nurtured to become a global leader, for example, spanning food, pharmaceuticals, finance, and tourism. Countries around the world look to Malaysia as a benchmark, but few give it the credit it deserves. Sure, Malaysia's GDP growth may not always make headlines, but its economy moves in calculated, precise steps. Small on the map, but mighty in influence. It's a nation proving that real power doesn't always scream, it often whispers, quietly shaping markets while the world looks elsewhere. So underestimating Malaysia's economic strength isn't just a mistake, it's a blind spot that investors, analysts, and even neighboring countries continually fall into. So why does a country with such strategic location, subtle political influence, and hidden economic strength remain underestimated? Well, the answer lies partly in perception and partly in Malaysia's own strategy. For starters, stereotypes play a huge role. Many outsiders see Malaysia as a small, quiet nation, overshadowed by the glittering success of Singapore or the sheer scale of Indonesia and China. Its population is modest, its military unflashy, and its international headlines rare. On paper, Malaysia doesn't look like a heavyweight, but that's exactly the genius of it. The world also tends to focus on noise. Countries that make bold claims, engage in headline-grabbing diplomacy, or flaunt power often get all attention. And on the other hand, Malaysia, it doesn't chase the spotlight. It works quietly, building influence, crafting deals, and securing economic advantage without the theatrics. And the secret is that this underestimation works very best in Malaysia's favor. Because by being overlooked, it moves under the radar, quietly leveraging trade routes, mediating regional conflicts, and growing an economy that can surprise anyone who thought they had Malaysia figured out. So in short, the world misjudges Malaysia because it's easy to ignore what doesn't scream. But as we have seen, behind that calm exterior lies a nation whose influence quietly touches every corner of Southeast Asia and beyond.